Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Annie Novotny, Client Services Coordinator for the Women's Resource Center. Thank you so much for joining us today for our final wellness series, Health, Hearth, and Harmony. All lines are muted, but feel free to ask questions in the Q&A box, and Onna Bode will try to answer them at the end. At the end of the webinar, a survey will appear. If you could take a few moments to respond, we would greatly appreciate your feedback. It's my pleasure to introduce to you today's presenter, Onna Bode, owner of Soul Harmony Therapies. Mary has over 35 years of experience in leading meditation, yoga, and breathing work. She is also a licensed massage therapist. Mary is known as a joyful healer of body, mind, and soul. Over to you, Mary.
Thanks, Annie. Thank you very much. And we are only a week away from the holidays, starting with our families and our gatherings, if we're having them with this COVID. I know that many gatherings are much smaller than they have been traditionally. Welcome everyone, by the way. I've kind of led this webinar into working with the holidays as well as every day. Health, hearth, and harmony. Hearth is another word for home, or the hearth, the fire of the home, the essence of the home, where we cook, where we gather, where we come together. This is, to me, a much more spiritual experience, or a much more connected experience than a lot of the times how we experience our homes, which are everybody's doing their own thing, and everybody's got, school or activities or work, or, we're all doing different things. Hearth is where we all come together. So health, hearth, and harmony. How do we create harmony within our gatherings, within our home, within our connectedness with our loved ones, whether we share a home space with someone or not? So that's what this webinar is about, and I hope that you get a lot out of it. It will dive into a lot of different areas that maybe you weren't expecting. So we're going to talk about a lot of different techniques that you can use to stay peaceful, to keep peace and serenity within yourself and within your surroundings, is really what this is about. So we're going to use a PowerPoint today. And we'll go through this PowerPoint, and you're going to not see a lot of me. You're going to see more of the PowerPoint, but you'll hear me. So please, any questions that you have, when I've led this seminar in the past, being live, there were people who could, ask questions. So please feel free to put any questions in the comment box, and we'll be sure to make sure that they get answered. There may be some. As far as health, hearth, and harmony, health is also the health of the emotions of the home, within yourself, within your home, within your gatherings. How is it that we create a harmony with one another? And a lot of the times when we're coming into, I hear from my patients and my clients that, they're coming into the holidays and there may be some anxiousness about it. There may be some upset, some wondering how it's going to go. We don't get along. There's some sort of something that hasn't been handled, the elephant in the room kind of thing. And how am I going to manage being in this position and keep my centeredness, my space, my peace, right? We're going to go into that a little bit. And these are techniques that you can use anytime. You can use in your business, in your work, in your friendships, any interaction. These are techniques and tools that you can take with you. Much broader than just this little topic we have here. Okay, so let's begin our slideshow. And it's going to take me a minute to set it up. There we go. Health, hearth, and harmony for the holidays and every day. Well, our health is created from three different aspects: physical, emotional, and spiritual. Three primary aspects of wellness and health in your physical body and at home. In the spiritual aspect, whether you have a spiritual belief or not, I take that on to be your belief system, who you be in the room. What is your belief system? What is it that you bring to the party, so to speak? What do you bring to the event, to the meeting, if you're in a meeting at work? Working with the physical, emotional, and spiritual is what we're going to do today. Physical being all aspects of health, emotional also being all aspects of the emotion. And we're going to go over all of those as we go along here. Physical being nutrition, exercise, habits, and rest. Working with nutrition, I'm not a nutritionist, but the bottom line is that if you are eating well, you are going to feel better. So eating well means less sugar, less alcohol, less caffeine. If you're a smoker, less nicotine or no nicotine. The things that we are most allergic to, this I will tell you, and comes from my own practice and working with people, is the possibility of what we are most allergic to is gluten, dairy, alcohol. Gluten, dairy, alcohol, and sugar. So the 4 items. So if you have any, I counsel my clients often that if you're having any kind of physical issue or you want to do a cleanse, get those 4 out of your diet, along with nicotine. We don't have as many smokers as we used to, but as well as nicotine. But as far as your body being allergic, it's dairy, wheat, and sugar, alcohol as well. Okay. So those 4 items, as well as nicotine, you take them out of your life, out of your diet for 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. I'm happy if you can do 3 days. If you can do 3 days, you start to feel a difference. And then that might turn into a week. And then maybe you'll be committed then to do the whole 3 weeks. After those 3 weeks, you get a very clear picture about whether or not you are being affected by any of those 4 or 5 items. And then as you bring them back in, one at a time and see how your body feels. I have had people, including myself, have absolutely profound changes in how I felt once I did that. And my clients have had that experience as well. So that's what I have to say about nutrition. Please spend some time online. We have a lot of things out there about nutrition. Bottom line is get more vegetables and fruit, less, no dairy, less gluten, more, if you're going to eat meat, lean meats, light meats, fish, chicken, even beef, but make it lean and less often. Okay. Exercise has this connotation like exercise. Oh my gosh. A lot of people don't want to exercise. They don't like to exercise. The word even bothers them. So, I don't want to exercise. Exercise can be anything. It can be the movement we did last week or the week before, chi flow movement or breath movement. Any kind of movement is under the category of exercise. Riding your bike, swimming, taking the dog for a walk, going for a gentle walk with a friend through a park that we have around here, being just any movement, dance, beautiful. I do like exercise to include stretching, and I like it to be not considered work. In other words, working around the house, yes, definitely get your heart moving, gets things happening, but it's doesn't have the same connected feel a lot of the time as doing some sort of a practice that you are with your body, not doing hard work around the house. Gardening is one of those exceptions that people find great relief and love and connectedness through gardening, getting your hands in the dirt. There's I'm going to go ahead and bring that up now. There's a process called earthing or grounding, having your feet in the earth, having your hands in the earth, and how the properties, the energetics of the earth really affect our bodies in a very healing and grounded and profound way. There's some YouTube videos out there on earthing, and I highly recommend you check one out. They're amazing. Um, I try to earth whenever possible. I try to earth earth whenever possible. Get my feet in the ground. Love to be at the beach barefoot. Love to be in my yard barefoot. It's a great way to connect yourself to the earth, to Mother Earth, and connect yourself to the healing properties of the energy of the earth. So that's exercise. Habits. Anytime we create a healthy habit, we are on the right track. Healthy habits, definitely morning habits. What does your morning look like? I have one client who says she gets up at 5:45 and she's out the door at 5:55 because she has to be to work. She has an hour drive to where she goes to work. She's a nurse. So she doesn't do there's no morning practice. She gets up, she makes her coffee, she gets in the car and she drives. However, her day starts off, and these are her comments, starts off, she has no time for herself, no time to connect to herself, her thoughts, her opportunity to just be with herself, her energy. Morning habits are very, very profound. There's lots of books out there about morning habits. There's a writer right now who's gotten a lot of notoriety, a new person on the scene. His name is Jay Shetty. He has a book out called Think Like a Monk. And he talks about morning practice and how important it is not to open up your phone for at least an hour after awaking. So when you get up, you get your tea, your coffee, you sit, you meditate, maybe exercise, maybe do some qigong like we did in our last video. Some movement, some dance, get outside, earth a little bit. Take time for you to plan your day, which we're going to get into this more during this webinar. Planning your day with intention. How is it that you want your intention, your day to go? Who do you want to be in the room? I think we've talked about that before. And then lastly, rest. Rest. Being able to take the time to honor your body and rest. We are a go, 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 go society, and we are always moving. And we're actually even like condemned a little bit for resting. It's getting better now as we're becoming more aware. But rest is not just sleep. Rest is, what do you do to fill yourself, to replenish yourself? What do you do to give yourself solace and time? That again, that time to just be with you or a loved one or several loved ones in a way that doesn't tax you in any way. So that can be, again, a walk on the beach. It can be gardening. It can be meditation. It can be yoga. Beautiful. So there's our physical aspects: nutrition, exercise, habits, and rest. So here we go. Keep moving. So ways to keep moving: take a walk with a family, or take the dog for a walk. Exercise can be fun and enjoyable and easy. It does not need to be every other day at the gym. It doesn't need to be an hour long. It can be 10 minutes. It can be 20 minutes. Do 10 minutes worth of movement in the morning. Do 10 minutes worth of movement at lunch. Do 10 minutes worth of movement at night after dinner. And now you've gotten a half an hour of movement in that otherwise you wouldn't have, because you think you're supposed to do it and, set aside this time and make it an hour long. Make it easy on yourself. Remember to stretch. Stretching is important. I would say that stretching, I'm also a personal trainer. If you were to ask my personal opinion about that, stretching is almost as important, really, almost as important as your aerobic ability. So without having your muscles stretched out, you don't have the flexibility that you need to have your body be healthy. Movement is health. Movement equals health. Being able to keep your joints, your body, your muscle tissues moving is a sign of health. Every part of our bodies, and if we think about ourselves, our psyche, our lives, we're meant to have some sort of adaptable space. Some adaptable space. Think about what that means. Adaptable. The ability to be able to adapt to a situation, to have the space to do so. We lose adaptable space when things get tight, whether it's an organ function, a cell, a cell, or a muscle or a group of muscles. When we lose that adaptable space, we start to get symptomatic and the possibility of injury or upset or unease. So stretching is one of the best ways to do that. When we stretch, by the way, we might be focusing on our muscle tissues, but we're also stretching the fascia tissue of our organs as well. Your stomach, your colon, your small intestines, your liver, pancreas, spleen, heart, pericardium, lungs. We're stretching that fascia tissue of your organs, which is beautiful, keeps the vitality running through your body. Create a routine of some type of movement or exercise every day. So there we go again, back to a morning habit, back to some sort of routine, anything. And routine meaning that it doesn't have to be the same thing every day, not that kind of routine, but routine like, hey, every morning I do 30 minutes of some sort of work with my body. I'm either going to walk, ride my bike, dance, do some qigong, do some stretching. I'm going to play with my body and connect with my physical self every day. Drink lots of water always. If you notice, this is in big letters and little bolder. Drink lots of water always. The recommendation is half your body weight in ounces a day. So if you weigh 150 pounds, half your body weight in ounces is 75 ounces. Then there's some more you can add to that in reference to somebody who drinks a lot of coffee or caffeine, and then alcohol. We talked about this in one of the series. So if you have 8 ounces of coffee in the morning, you're going to double your water intake and add it to your 75 ounces in this expression. If you have 6 ounces of wine in the evening, you're going to double that, 12, and add that to your 75. So you're doubling the amount of alcohol and coffee back into your equation of water per day. Okay? Go for a bike ride. Create good habits. We talked about that as well. Creating good habits, which would be another one, morning habit would be, what are you having for breakfast? So I like to shake things up a little bit, but it's wonderful to have a habit in the morning. Like every morning, I'm going to have my protein shake that gives all my nutrients that I want to add to that, maca powder or cacao or, spirulina or whatever you're going to add to your shake. That's a good habit. That's also a good habit to have is how is it you're going to eat and when are you going to have your meals? There's a whole thing about fasting as well. That's something maybe for a different webinar. Take time for yourself, rest and reset. Take time for yourself. Allow your body to rest, to take time to reset. I love that word, reset. Just like a computer, needs to defrag every now and then, or it needs a reboot, right? We need to be able to rest and to have us choose what do we want to do next instead of being on an automatic pilot all the time. An automatic pilot, or like a rat on a wheel, that doesn't know how to get off. We need to be able to have the time and space to come back to ourselves, come back to our homes, come back to our place of serenity and peace, and to reset. What do I choose next? What do I want my day tomorrow to be like? Or what do I want my week next week to be like after a weekend? We're going to go over that. We're going to go over that a little bit too, creating intention. So emotional stress is a huge part. We hear a lot about stress. Expectations. We're going to talk about expectations. Perceptions and perceptions and perspective, and then communication. So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about perceptions and perspective. So those words I get them confused, and this is where, I will probably have some fun with this, but perceptions and perspective have two different aspects. So the reason why I'm bringing this in is because when we are working with others, ourselves, understanding our own perceptions and perspective, and then realizing that someone else has a different perception and perspective, and to honor that that's so. A slide I would love to have in here, which I don't, which I'll add it. The thought that comes to my mind is have you ever seen, there's a meme out there that has one person on one side and one person on the other, and in the center is a 6 or a 9, depending on which way you're looking at it. So to one person, their perspective is it's a 6. To the other person, their perspective is it's a 9. So here we go. So how there is no denying that. One person sees a 9, one person sees a 6. So it's the same thing when we work with someone else who has a different opinion than us. We are to taking into account that they may very strongly not see it the way we do, and to honor that. Perceptions are, I can look perception. I like to use the word blue. So when I bring up the color blue, this also comes into communication. When I bring up the color blue, everyone has a different understanding of what blue is. I might be thinking cobalt blue, someone else may be thinking navy blue, somebody else may be thinking sky blue, but they're all blue. So my perception of what I bring up when I talk about blue could be very different than what someone else's is. So with that in mind, it gives us a greater understanding, a broader understanding of where someone may be coming from, and keeps us into a place where maybe it changes our stress level or changes our expectation that someone's going to understand that the number on the floor is a 6 when all they can see is a 9, right? It also gives us an opportunity for really profound communication, so that, hey, come over here and take a look at the number on the floor. Oh my gosh, I see it's a 6. Oh my gosh, I see it's a 9, right? So the opportunity to communicate about what's happening for each person, rather than it becoming a stress opportunity and something where people start to close down. Our self-expression, our ability to be able to self-express, is linked to our ability to be happy, joyous, within our own being. To be able to be fully self-expressed is the greatest gift we can give ourselves, and really those around us, because then we're sharing who we are with them fully and greatly. And there's a saying by Marianne Williamson where she talks about, there's some question whether it was Marianne Williamson or Nelson Mandela who wrote it, but who am I to deny being glorious and wonderful and beautiful, for when I do so, other people have the freedom to do so as well. So that's all about emotion. We're going to get into this a little bit more. Assertiveness communication. So this is the communications piece. How to have an effective adult communication with anyone about anything. We're going to go over that. Some of it has to do with timing, tone, to be able to actively listen, to be able to let it go, and to be able to let go of the perceived, here's a perception, the perceived urgency or pressure of a situation. We think something needs to happen right now, or we think that you want to get your point across. That's a great one. Is like a lot of the times we don't communicate in a way that's to listen or to offer our thoughts or opinion, but to actually change somebody's mind. And that's a recipe for disaster, really. We want to just express ourselves. Like I said, having full self-expression is linked to our vitality. And being able to express ourselves is really the only goal. And to allow someone else to express themselves is a gift you give them without judgment. It's beautiful. So how to have an effective adult communication with anyone about anything. This would be a whole class in and of itself, but I'm going to give you some pointers. this would be a whole webinar in and of itself, and I would love to do that at some point. It is very quickly. So having an assertive communication to adults, if you look at a lot of communications, it ends up happening from 3 different levels. So you have a parent, somebody who's telling you what to do or what's supposed to happen. And when we talk from that parent level, 2 people, you have parent, adult, that's the adult conversation that we're going to talk about here. And then the child level, which is on the bottom, the person who's always listening to somebody else's advice without listening to themselves. Or I'll explain more about this. The other person also has parent, can be critical parent, but parent, adult, and childlike, right? So when somebody talks, these 2 people, you have somebody talking from the parent position. You have somebody talking from the parent position and they're talking down to the child. It's normal for the other person to take this childlike position. And this can become very habitual. Oh, like this would be somebody creating a tantrum, or I want this and I don't care what you think, like 15-year-old child or the 2-year-old on the floor who's, pitching a fit. And the parent who is like telling this person what to do. So if somebody is in the child position, it kind of automatically puts someone in the parent position, and vice versa, right? If we talk with one another in the adult position, somebody has to come up to the adult position. So if somebody's being childlike and we talk with them from an adult position, then they have to meet us. Same thing, if they're talking from a parent position, you should do this, you need to do that. And we talk from an adult position, we ask them to do the same. It works, trust me. So this is kind of just paying attention to where you usually talk from. A lot of people talk from either parent or child. Pay attention and take a look and see what happens. And we want to get our communications into that equal level of adult to adult. When you're talking from an adult position, you use only facts. You use only facts that anybody could see. The example I use is chair. So we can agree that a chair is a chair, but we cannot agree we may not agree whether or not that chair is a pretty chair or a comfortable chair. But I can look at a chair and you can look at a chair and we can know that that's a chair. Those are the kind of facts you want to talk about. So when we're having communications with somebody, you want to be careful of your tone. So if I said, hey, that's a chair, that kind of means that I like that chair. But if I say, oh, that chair, well, now I've made that chair wrong and bad, right? But pay attention to how you use your inflection and your tone and your timing. I'm sure most of us have known somebody who loves to poke, right? So let's get, my children, my adult kids love to poke. So, oh, let me see when I get her in that right position and then I'll poke at her. The timing is right to poke. Sorry to say, but it happens in my family. So it's like, but when we start to realize that we're doing it and that it causes an upset and a stress in the room, going back to the following slide, we don't want to live there. We don't want to live in this stress position. We want to be in a place that's open for people to express themselves and safe. Also, going back to hearth, and harmony, feeling safe is huge. So being assertive in our communication, being clear with our communication, makes it so that we have the ability to create safety in our environment with ourselves and with other people as well. Active listening is listening to someone, not listening with the possibility of responding, but listening. Active listening goes like this, and you can try this. When somebody talks, or right now to me, while you're listening to me, listen to only me, and listen in a way that in your head now, instead of processing what it is I'm saying, you are repeating what I'm saying in your head. So you're hearing it while I speak it, and then you're thinking what I've just said in your head, rather than having the process of your head go on its own. Now you're actively listening. You're not adding anything to it with your mental communication up there, with your mental chatter. You are listening and repeating what I say over in your mind's ear, in your mind's verbiage, in your mind's communication. That's active listening. That keeps us engaged with the person rather than engaged with our own perceptions and perspective that comes from the past. So now we get to actively be there with this person, give them the grace of our listening, the opportunity to give them the opportunity to share. This is a beautiful grace we give each other. It's wonderful. The other is let it go. So when somebody says, like I said, my kids poking my at one another, so if my adult children, so if they love to play like that, they're playing, it upsets me. I realize it upsets me. I think more than it upsets them. To them, it's a game. So that's something I've been working with. So to let it go. They've got their own way of interacting with one another. And who am I to say how I'd like it to go? I have a particular way I want it to go. To let that go. They love one another. Same thing, to let it go. If somebody says something to you that doesn't feel good, that pause, we're going to talk about that next, I believe. Being able to take a moment and choose your reaction rather than it coming automatically, to have the possibility of letting it go. And then letting go of that perceived urgency or pressure that it has to be done right now, or I have to say something right now. One of the things about communication is we can come back at any time and change what we've said. There's a saying that once something is said, it's there forever, and that's true. However, we can go back and say, I'm sorry, and say, I'm sorry as a real apology, not just as a I'm sorry, but that comes from the heart. That can mean a great deal to someone. And the other is to come back and say, I didn't mean to say that way. So I've had that in many of my communications where I'll look back, 2 hours later, I'll be like, man, that didn't come out right. And I'm really sorry. That's not how I meant that to come out. So I'll come back and I'll say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. What I meant was this. You can also change your mind. So if you have a communication with somebody and in that moment you say yes to something or no to something or whatever, say a particular, I don't know, the thing was blue. And when, a couple hours later, or a day later, or a week later, or I don't care if it's 10 years later, if you've had a communication with someone and you are uh, realizing that you wish it had gone a different way, your self-expression, your vitality may be so well served by coming back, even like I said, 10 years later and saying, I didn't mean that the way that came out, or I'm sorry I said that, or what I really wanted to say was whatever, right? Or I was angry and what was really up for me was I was hurt, right? So those have great impacts for yourself and for the people around you. That's communication. Spiritual. So creating a pause word, we're going to go into that. Active listening, we talked about that. Quiet time, rest, taking the opportunity to be with yourself, to listen to yourself without all the chatter that is constantly going on in our lives. I recommend having time in your home where there is no TV on. And even choosing the music that you have in your home with understanding about what that music brings into the home, what energy that brings into the home. There are some theories with quantum physics that, a home that has been like a temple that's been chanted in, that the walls vibrate this chant because the energy of that chant is in the space. So I listen a lot to classical cello music here in my home. I like chant music, so I also listen a lot to chant music. I like the feeling that it gives my home and me while I'm in it, and those around me as well. Um, Breathing. We've talked a lot about breathing in this series, but being able to take a big breath. Breathe. Nice big deep breath into the belly, the upper belly, the chest, and exhale. Just that moment. Breath is this miracle. It's with us all the time. It's not something we have to do something special. It's not something we have to say. It's not something we have to do other than consciously breathe in our own bodies, which happens all the time anyway. We're doing it on an unconscious level and a conscious level. Breath is the only system in our body, our respiratory system is the only system in the body that innervates the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. We have the ability to take a conscious breath to choose how we breathe, or it happens completely on its own without us ever thinking about it. It happens all on its own. That doesn't happen in any other system in the body. That's the miracle of our breath. Creating a personal intention, we're going to go into that more, or an intention for the day or event. It can be different. Hugs are always beautiful. Now with COVID, we're being much more careful. However, hugs are an amazing expression of love. And there are certain ways to hug, and we're going to go over that. And being mindfulness, either mindfulness with our day-to-day activities, our communication, taking the opportunity to take a moment to ourselves and be mindful about where we are, about these other aspects, personal intention for the day. Creating a pause word and intention. I think we've done this, and I've done this in a lot of classes over the time here. But creating a pause word or an intention. What is your commitment for the day? What is your empowerment for the day? And I've just got a few there: inspire, courage, harmony, dream. Mine, an intention I use a lot is love and transformation. And that's one that I have as a go-to. What is it that I am here to create? Love and transformation in this moment, in this day, in this event. Another one I use a lot is I am powerful and courageous communication. So I had many years where communication was very hard for me. So I created that. I am powerful and courageous communication. So when things weren't going well or I was feeling an upset, I would ask myself, in this moment, am I being powerful and courageous communication? Usually it was no. And I created the courage to have those powerful communications, which ultimately changed my life. It was amazing. So it can be a sentence or phrase. It can be a word like inspire or harmony. What am I here for? But let's do that now. Go ahead and close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take one of those beautiful, big, deep breaths. Exhale. Get centered in your body. Feel the balance within yourself. What is it you would like to bring into today? Either a phrase or a word. What's your intention for the day? When you're ready, open your eyes. Whatever it is you came up with, let's play with that. So I came up with peaceful accomplishment. Peaceful accomplishment. I got some things I want to accomplish today, but I want to do it in a peaceful manner. I don't want to be all freaked out about it. So peaceful accomplishment. That's mine. If you're on right now and you want to add yours to the chat, please do, and we'll look at it later. Okay. So whatever your pause word or intention is, go ahead and type that in now. Mindfulness. Mindfulness is the pause between impulse and action. So creating a pause word to remind you of your personal and day intention. So if my intention, I'm just going to work with mine. If my intention is peaceful accomplishment, what would be my pause word if I start to feel an upset? It might be breathe. Matter of fact, I'm going to take that on. My pause word is breathe. So when I start to feel overwhelmed with the accomplishment that I'm wanting to have today, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to bring in the word breathe. So now this works very well when you're in communication also with others. So when things start to get upset or heated, or, Thanksgiving, we're cooking dinner and there's people around and there's a lot going on. What would be the word? And every event, every day, you can create a new one. So I have my general ones that I shared with you. Today, I created peaceful accomplishment. Tomorrow, it's going to be something different. And even today, if I have an event that I'm going to go to or be with someone in particular, I may take a moment and create who I'm going to be in that communication, that particular communication. Maybe it would be openness, open-minded, loving, caring. I can play. You can play with it. It becomes a game. And when you start to realize how well it works, you'll want to play this game. It works very, very well. Create a pause word. And I love the mindfulness is the pause between impulse and action, because the difference between impulse and action is impulse is an impulse, an automatic way of being. Could be an upset, could be I know people who laugh at certain things that are inappropriate to laugh at because their impulse is to laugh at everything. An action is you are creating that action. You have a say-so in what action happens. And the pause makes it so you have that say-so rather than working from an impulse. It's very powerful. Hugs are always awesome. Give hugs of genuine intention. There are different types of hugs. So hugs can be, there's a whole class I do with this too, but hugs can be a good hug. Let's just go through a good hug. A good hug is hugging, preferably with both hands, and actually not tapping, because that's like burping a baby, and not holding too tight, feeling for when it is that the person wants to release and let go. If they're uncomfortable with the hug, then that might be soon. And there might be somebody who sinks into your hands and wants to be hugged for a long time. That's my thing with hugs. But what you don't want to do is have it feel sensual, which is inappropriate. You don't want it to feel like childish, like, oh, poor thing, like that kind of thing. You want it to be there for the person. And to hug without expectation. So the other thing is not to grab someone and hug them without asking. Like, put your hands out. Want a hug? I love to hug. Hugs feel really good. And I know with COVID now we have a different situation. So it's good to always ask. Timing. You don't want to rush up to somebody and hug. Allowing space for this person. And hugs are always free. They're free. They're just like your breath. They're there. Although breath you can do on your own, hugs you need somebody else. You can hug yourself. Feels great. It does really feel great, actually. I love to hug, and not everybody does. So that's one of the things you want to be aware of. Not everybody is going to want to hug, and that's okay. Awareness ripples from within ourselves out to others. So our joy is contagious. When you are yourself, it says, be yourself. When you are yourself, you create that vitality within your body. The more we have the ability to communicate, to express ourselves, to be with ourselves, the more the more vitality we bring into the body. Movement is health. When things are moving, when our communication is moving, when our energy is moving, we are far more healthy and vital. We have more energy and love to give and love to receive than we would if we're holding on in some way. Our joy is contagious. When we are happy, our joy, our love that it eludes or not eludes, but it exudes from us is contagious. Other people feel that as well. A game I love to play is if I'm, like, so in a restaurant and the waitress or waiter comes up and, and you can tell they're not having a good day, or, there's a little itchiness there, a little saltiness, and to use a restaurant term. And, I've had people, the waiter or waitress walks away, and I've had the person I'm with go, wow, he's in a bad mood. And I'm like, well, let's play. Let's see if we can create them having a better day by exuding my joy, my love, rather than taking on that they're in a bad mood. And now I'm going to be in a bad mood with them because they're not being so nice to me. Instead, I get to play. I get to play with them. Allow your energy to flow and enjoy every movement. Enjoy every movement. Taking time to breathe. Notice the beauty of nature all around you. Stop, pause, smile, and breathe deeply. So these are techniques to bring yourself back into the present, into the moment right here and now. When we're starting to get super stressed out and things are coming up as an issue, notice the beauty of the nature around you. Stop, pause, smile, breathe deeply. Find the little pleasures. See the details in something. So that's a technique for people who are experiencing anxiety. See the details in something, like this flower, these pictures, these two pictures that are here, the details, the very specific pieces, the colors of the shells, the colors of the flowers, the inside where the pollen would be, those little brown specks, where are the leaves, where are they not? All aspects is a way to bring yourself out of an anxiety situation. Listen to the birds, the wind, and your own breath. So when we bring awareness into ourselves or into a certain thing, like the flowers or the pictures here, we take ourselves away from the mental chatter that could be causing us stress. Feel your breath, feel your body, feel the breeze. I have a fan blowing on me right now, and it feels, I just connected with that feeling, and it changes something, right? Take a look at the colors of something in a beautiful, beautiful way. Gratitude game, saying thank you. So anytime something comes up, say thank you. Say thank you outwardly, externally, to someone, to everything. Thank you. Thank you for my coffee. Thank you for my water. Thank you, this waitress or waiter that was, a little grumpy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your care. Those kind of things. Now this person is engaged with you because you've engaged with them rather than them being a servant. They're seeing the ability to be able to be open with you a little bit more because you're honoring who they are and what they're doing for you. Gratitude game, grateful for every aspect. In the moment, grateful for the clothes I'm wearing, grateful for the fact I'm not hot or too cold, that I've got a roof, I'm fed. Gratitude game. Gratitude for the people that are in your life that you love, that maybe right now there might be a slight upset with or a big upset with. I'm grateful for them being in my life, because with them being in my life, I have the opportunity to learn. If in all else, we are learning all the time when we are conscious and aware. We are all in this together. Remember, we are all more alike than different. Absolutely. Focus on the intention within you, this intention that you've created. Translate upset to love. Feelings are powerful yet temporary. Our feelings come and go. They are temporary if we allow them to be. So it's important that we know that our feelings are not facts, that our feelings are not the say-so. The feelings are what we're feeling at the moment, and that in the next moment, that feeling may be different. If you watch a baby is so happy in one moment and then screaming its lungs out the next, because it doesn't have the awareness of, I'm feeling sad now, or I'm feeling happy now. It goes from the emotion that it's feeling one to the other without there being this lingering of it. That's really, our feelings are meant to come and go. They're not concrete. So knowing that our feelings are powerful, very powerful, they can be incredibly powerful. They can be detrimental. They can be amazingly helpful. Yet they are temporary. This too shall pass. Things will pass. Feelings will pass. And this is, as I said earlier, as we let our own light shine, we give others permission to do the same. That's beautiful. So the more we allow our own light to shine, the more we give others the permission to do the same. And in that, everyone has a healthier, more harmonious life. And in this case, hearth for your home internal and for your home external, the space that you live in, and your created family and your family. So there, heart or health, harmony, and heart. Oops, health, hearth, and harmony. All right, let's see how this works. Okay. Hi, everybody. So any questions? All right.
All right. Thank you
How
so
you doing?
Doing very good. What an amazing webinar and webinar series that you have done, Mary. Thank you so much for your time. We are concluding the wellness series today. We have a brief survey at the end of the webinar, and if you could take a few moments, we would greatly appreciate it. For the wellness series replay, you can go onto our YouTube channel and you would just type Women's Resource Center for that replay. Again, thank you so much for attending, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you so much, Annie. This has been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.